Welcome back to the University of Queensland School of Architecture series of videos introducing Rhino and Grasshopper. Now what we're going to do in this video is we're going to put a skin on our twisted tower, and we're going to do things in a slightly more complicated way so that I can generate this as a mesh and a surface. So I'll step you through it. Now the first thing that we're going to do is that we'll actually what I'm going to do is I'll turn this off here, and I'll turn off my extrude so I can see what I'm doing. So first things first, I'm going to do a simple move and rotate of that base curve. So I'm going to introduce a move. So in some senses it's doing the same thing as I was doing with the floor slabs. So I'm going to input the same curve geometry to set up my facade, and I'm going to use the same translation vector which we set up in the floor slabs through here. So that sets up the series connecting back to the floor to floor and the number of floors. So I'm going to borrow that parameter, push that in there, and so I've got the base curves all lining up through there to correspond with my floor slabs. And the same thing, I'm going to do a rotate along a plane, and again I'm going to borrow here the series for that set up the rotation in the floor slabs, because there's no point in setting it up twice, and that's, I guess, part of the beauty of doing this parametrically, because it's all just patterns and relationships. And then I'm going to pop that across there, and you can see if we turn that off, then we've got a series of curves that will start to generate our facade. Now we could, for argument's sake, perhaps just loft those curves through there, and that could be the end of it. Now I'm going to do it in a slightly more complicated way so that perhaps we will get better outcome for our future evaluation, but also it'll help me set up the facade to be, I guess, a little bit more like an elemental facade rather than just a shrink wrap skin over the building. Now to do that, I'm going to turn this off just for now. I'm going to sort of repeat what I've done through there, but I'm going to, get this curve, and I'm going to duplicate it down 300. I'm going to make a copy of it, sort of the thickness of the slab, and pretty much repeat what I've done with these curves through here. So to do that first duplication, I need to get myself a translation vector, a move command. Going to pop that in there. The geometry I'm going to translate is the same curve geometry, pop that in there, and I'm going to move it the distance of the slab thickness. So I'm going to pop that in there. So what you can see is I've duplicated this outline curve through there. Now what I'm going to do now is duplicate more or less what I've done here. So I'm going to move again, and I'm going to move this sort of seed copy through there. I'm going to pull out this translation through there. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do a rotate through a plane. There's my geometry there. The angle will again be this one through there. And so now we have got a series of, I'll just turn that move off. I'll turn that move off. I'm not turning it off, I'm actually just turning off the view of it. So we've got a series of duplicated curves that will then set up our facade. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cull this first curve from there, because we don't really need that first one. So I'm going to cull index through there. So the index, I'm just going to put that into there. Oops. Set integer 0. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now what's called a weave. So I've got two sets of data, through there. So what I want to do, so you can see that's one set of data there, that's that one, that's the other set of data here. So what we want to do is get the loft to go from here to there, to there, to there, to there. And at the moment, if we loft it, it's going to do it's going to arrange the list, one on top of the other. But what we actually want to do is to interleave the two list items so that we've got one continuous list that we can loft through. Now, to do that, we're going to use a command called a weave through here. So let's just, for a laugh, let's just see what's going to happen. So that's the first one. So if we pop that one in first and then shift and pop that one in second, we actually have two overlapping meshes, one on top of the other, which is actually not what we want. So I'm going to loft, not meshes. So I'm going to disconnect them all, and instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to, so that's the, let me just see where I'm at. That'll be the starting one through there. So I'm going to pop that one in 0. I'm going to pop that one in 2. So it's actually going to weave the two lists together. And if we now put the weave into there, what you can see is it's actually now connecting one to the other. Now, we've got a sort of a slightly wobbly facade, and that's because of the setting of the loft. Now you can see here we've got different loft options through here, and we've just got a normal default, but what we can actually do is either uniform or straight. Commit changes, and what that's going to do is give us a nice tight loft. So we've got it connecting one slab to the other. Now the loft is what's called a boundary representation. Now, a boundary representation is not, it can be many things. It can be a flat surface, so on one plane, but in this instance it's actually a poly surface. So to break that down into a mesh is going to be impossible in Grasshopper and in Rhino. We need to sort of break down the poly surfaces so that we can apply a mesh to it. Now, to do that, we're going to use, I'm not quite sure where it is, I'm going to use a deconstruct brep, which is here. So if we just do Control Alt, that's in surface, and what we're going to do is that it's going to basically collapse down our surface into a bunch of I guess elements. So now that we've deconstructed our loft into a series of faces, an untrimmed surface and edges, we're going to now do a mesh surface through here, and that mesh surface you'll find in the mesh tools through here. Now the surface that we're going to mesh are the faces that we've gotten through here. Now all of a sudden you can see it's starting to partition these out in the U and V I guess counts. It's the sort of division of that surface. Now we can control these divisions through a number slider. So I'm going to just give myself a fairly simple number slider here. I'll do that one there, and I'm going to plug those number sliders into the U through there, U value. So what you can see, that sort of splits it in the horizontal directions, so I can keep adding things through there. Now I'm actually going to pull that right down to 1 because I just want it sort of from the floor to the ceiling. And we can do the same with the V value across here. If we plug that into V here, and we can then dial up how we divide up that surface through there. Now we can then sort of keep playing with that and working through here and bake that into the model. But I'm going to just turn off all of these other geometries that we've used to create this. I'll turn all that off so we don't have these kind of interference. And so that's our mesh in the end of our facade. And if I preview that on and preview that on, you can see there's our tower, twisted tower with a facade representation on it. And again, it's all still parametric, so it all will work together, and it gives us a little bit more control. For example, we can then start to come in and then break apart, you know, the divisions of, let's call them mullions for this sake. So that's the end of the construction of the facade skin. And like the previous video, the grasshopper routine will pick up again from stage 2, but the routine will be cleaned up and organized a little better than what I'm showing here. So we'll see you for that next set of videos. Thanks.